imagine his arms around her. Imagine burying her nose in his shirt and drowning in the comfort of his embrace. She shook her head and turned on the shower, cranking the temperature to maximum. Steam quickly filled the room, blocking her view of the mirror. Good. She peeled off the sweat she'd slept in, trying hard to avoid looking at the body that had let her down so many times. It didn't even seem to belong to her anymore. Soft and spongy in places that used to be firm and toned. A mom body. Only she wasn't a mom. With a sigh, she stepped into the shower, wincing as the scalding water stabbed her shoulders. But even the heat couldn't drive the thoughts away. She flipped the water to cold, showered quickly, pulled on a new pair of sweatpants and a t-shirt, and brushed her teeth and headed for the kitchen. Simeon had left her favorite mug next to the full coffee carafe. A bright yellow sticky note clung to the front of the mug, and curiosity pulled Abigail forward to read it. I'll be home early for our doctor appointment. I love you. She ran her fingers over the letters. I love you. She'd always teased Simeon that his handwriting was way too neat to be a doctor. To which he'd always reminded her that he wasn't a doctor, he was a counselor. It was one of the things that had drawn her to him. He'd been so easy to talk to. And all you told him was lies. Abigail set the note down. The I love you still seared against her fingertips, joined by the prickle of guilt. She loved him too, but she was starting to wonder if that was enough. He was such a good man, and she was not who he thought she was. She thought she could leave that behind, that she could be someone new. But instead, she'd only dragged him into her mess. She poured herself a cup of coffee and moved to the kitchen table, which overlooked the spacious backyard. The outdoor space was the whole reason they'd bought this house. There was supposed to be a tire swing back there by now, and a sandbox, and maybe even a treehouse. Instead, it was immaculate and empty. There was no reason to have all those things when there were no children to use them. Chapter 2. Simeon tipped his coffee cup back, grimacing as the lukewarm liquid coated his tongue. With a sigh, he plunked the mug on the corner of his desk, resisting the urge to venture into the small reception area to refill it. He'd already had 3 cups, and he needed to save some for his clients. He glanced at the time on his computer screen. 11 o'clock. 3 more hours until Abigail's doctor appointment. He scrubbed a hand down his freshly shaved cheek, wondering if he should call to make sure she'd gotten out of bed. Not that she'd been sleeping when he'd left. They'd been married long enough that he could tell the difference between her fake sleep, with its deep, even breaths, and her real sleep, with its uneven, soft half-snores. But he hadn't had the energy to call her out. And even if he had, it wouldn't have changed anything. She would have said everything was fine just as she always did, then rolled over and gone back to sleep for real. He tried not to take it personally. It was the depression. Diagnosing it wasn't the problem, neither was discerning the cause. The losses they'd experienced over the last 2 years would leave anyone reeling. No, the problem was that she wouldn't let him, or anyone else, help her. So he went on day after day, acting like he knew exactly how to help other people sort out their lives, how to help couples renew their marriages, when his own was unraveling. It felt like there were only a few stitches left. And once those let go, he wasn't sure there'd be any way to mend their relationship. He picked up the framed photo of the 2 of them in Ecuador that adorned his desk, rubbing at a smudge that marred the glass over Abigail's smile. Maybe they'd rushed into things too quickly. He certainly hadn't planned to meet anyone on that mission trip, let alone propose marriage to her. But she'd upturned all his carefully laid plans with that smile. And he'd known almost immediately that it was a smile he wanted to wake up to every day for the rest of his life. He tried to remember the last time he'd seen it. A real, genuine smile. Rather than the strained, everything's fine smile she'd put on for months now.